When the lights went out at Imola, no one could have predicted the drama that would unfold, not just on the track, but behind the scenes. Max Verstappen may have stolen the headlines with a commanding win, overtaking Oscar Piastri into turn 1 and never looking back, but the real storm was only just beginning. Lando Norris clawed his way to second, leaving his McLaren teammate Piastri in third. And while the papaya squad celebrated another double podium, little did they know that the FIA had other plans brewing, because just as champagne corks were popping, FIA inspectors were quietly circling the MCL39 like sharks in bloodied water. What started as a technical triumph, the car hailed for its unmatched tyre preservation and race pace, has now been plunged into controversy. Imola may have ended with trophies in hand, but what followed could redefine McLaren's season. The celebration was cut short as FIA officials seized specific components from the McLaren garage in a stunning post-race intervention. Curiously, amidst the swirl of accusations, confiscated parts and whispered conspiracies, McLaren's star duo has stayed remarkably composed, though not completely silent. Lando Norris, never one to shy away from a cheeky remark, delivered with a smirk, "I drive the car, I don't write the rulebook. If the FIA wants to check under the hood, let 'em." Oscar Piastri, true to his no-nonsense persona, kept things ice cold. "We came here to race. The car was legal when we started, legal when we finished. Anything beyond that is noise, not my job. No theatrics, no panic, just two drivers laser-focused on the road ahead while the chaos brews in their rear-view mirrors." While most teams struggled with degradation, the MCL39 cruised through the race with ease. Norris capitalised on fresher tyres to grab second, while Piastri, on worn hards, still held on to third. Both finished with tyres that looked barely touched, fueling suspicions. George Russell even suggested the tyre selection played perfectly into McLaren's hands, but that's only half the story. Behind closed doors, murmurs began to spread. This wasn't just about a clever setup anymore. Was McLaren's secret down to ingenious brake cooling, aerodynamic sorcery, or something far more controversial? The FIA clearly wasn't willing to leave it to speculation. Their swift decision to confiscate components from the MCL39 wasn't part of the usual checklist. It was sparked by growing unease that McLaren's remarkable tyre preservation might be more than just smart engineering, and tyre preservation is exactly where the MCL39 has stunned the field. In Shanghai, Norris and Piastri finished the race with rubber that looked barely used, as if it had just rolled out of the garage. That kind of tyre longevity has become McLaren's superpower, a key ingredient in their recent rise. But now, that magic is being dissected under a very different light. The FIA's upcoming technical directive, set to land at the Spanish Grand Prix, is designed to crack down on flexible front wings. And guess who's right at the centre of the storm? A growing chorus of paddock insiders believe McLaren's so-called miracle wing might not survive the next round of scrutiny. McLaren might be playing it cool, but the tension in the paddock is heating up fast. Zak Brown has publicly shrugged off any concerns over the upcoming FIA clampdown in Barcelona, confidently stating that the current MCL39 will breeze through the new tests. But behind the scenes, Red Bull isn't buying it. They suspect that McLaren's sudden leap in performance has more than just clever design behind it, and they're pointing the finger at one of their own, former Red Bull tech wizard Rob Marshall, now part of McLaren's setup. Red Bull insiders believe Marshall's knowledge may have helped McLaren flirt with the grey areas of the regulations, and when the FIA's tighter scrutiny kicks in at the Spanish Grand Prix, they're betting we'll see McLaren's magic fade. It's not the first time the team has danced close to the regulatory line. Last year in Baku, they were forced to ditch a flexing rear wing that mimicked a mini DRS effect, giving them an illegal straight-line boost outside the official zones. But that's not all that has Red Bull raising eyebrows. They're also suspicious of how McLaren is managing to keep their rear brake ducts so chilly. During the Japanese Grand Prix, Red Bull used thermal imaging to scan the field, and the results were startling. The rear of the McLaren ran significantly cooler than anyone else, sparking fresh whispers about some unorthodox cooling trickery. Cue the paddock's latest scandal, F1's version of Watergate. Years ago, Red Bull themselves toyed with using water to cool tyres until the FIA banned it. Now they're suggesting McLaren might be reviving the idea under a new guise. Zak Brown responded in trademark cheeky fashion by labelling the pit wall's water bottles tyre water during the Miami GP. Christian Horner couldn't resist the dig. If they need sustenance, we'll send them a case of Red Bull. Red Bull might be getting stick for acting like the paddock's self-appointed hall monitor, but it turns out they may have had a point all along. After weeks of being mocked as whingers, recent developments suggest their complaints to the FIA have unearthed unearthed something serious. Serious enough for the governing body to step in and confiscate parts from McLaren's car. In the high-stakes game of Formula One, snitching isn't just accepted, it's tradition. Teams keeping tabs on each other has become a strategic part of the sport. And while some use official protest procedures to trigger investigations, others prefer back-channel whispers that lead FIA officials down very specific technical rabbit holes. This self-policing culture emerged in part because the FIA in earlier years simply didn't have the budget or manpower to comb through every team's secrets, but rival teams, especially the wealthier ones, could afford to run their own investigations, pointing fingers with highly informed precision. Today, the FIA's technical department is far better equipped, yet the teams remain the true masters of the engineering chessboard. Their knowledge is still essential in helping the FIA sniff out potential rule-bending innovations. So, when a team like Red Bull waves a red flag, it's not just gamesmanship, it might be a genuine call for scrutiny, and that seems to be the case with McLaren. Veteran journalist John Noble lifted the lid on the latest theories around McLaren's cooling systems, specifically how their rear brake drums might be doing more than just stopping the car. Noble claims the FIA found something it didn't like and has already seized parts from the MCL39 for closer inspection. According to John Noble, McLaren's surprising lack of dominance in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia might not have been down to bad luck or track layout. It could have been the first sign that something wasn't quite right under the surface. Yes, Oscar Piastri walked away with wins in both races, but it wasn't the steam-rolling performance many were expecting. Lando Norris struggled to break into the top 5 in qualifying at both venues and had to settle for 3rd and 4th place finishes. So what's behind the mystery? Noble points to the now infamous rear brake cooling saga. Suggestions that McLaren's brake drums were running significantly cooler than the rest of the grid triggered all sorts of wild speculation, he said. And in Formula One, when the paddock starts whispering, you can bet it doesn't take long for the FIA to start listening. The temperature disparity was reportedly so stark that the FIA felt compelled to act, confiscating parts and launching a deeper technical investigation. Noble believes McLaren's secret source could lie in the materials themselves. Specifically, he suggests the team is using an advanced carbon weave in the brake drums designed to dissipate heat more efficiently and funnel cool air onto the wheel rims. But the intrigue doesn't stop there. Noble also floats the theory that McLaren might be experimenting with phase-changing materials, substances that shift their physical state to manage heat in radical ways. If true, this wouldn't just help the car stay within temperature sweet spots, it could also manipulate airflow in a way that borders on aerodynamic trickery. It's an edge that may explain why the MCL39 has been so kind to its tyres across race weekends, even when it wasn't outright dominant. But now that the FIA is involved, the question is whether this is a clever innovation or a step too far. Let us know in the comments. Until next time, goodbye for now.